Hi guys, Bran here, and welcome to another commentary video. Today we're going to be taking a little bit of a detour. Obviously, we did one react recently talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and kind of got me thinking in recent mind about some things with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is a game that you've not seen on this channel for quite some time because, well, I stopped playing it. If you want to check out that react, where I talk about TCM and how it's dying and all that wonderful stuff and how I feel about it, why I quit, it's in that video. Don't click off this one yet, though. Just do that at the end because that hurts my click-through BS, you know, all that stuff. I don't really care about that. I'm just saying, just keep watching. Pay attention to me. I just like attention. I'm a glutton for attention. Which is weird because I'm an introvert. But anyways, that's between me and my therapist. Let's talk about today the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and why it will not be able to bounce back. Because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but that Texas Chainsaw Massacre has had something of a decrease. Something of a decrease in players, especially if you're one of those nerds like me who likes stats and charts because, well, you know, stats was probably the only math class I actually enjoyed, and obviously stats and charts are something that are very, very important to a lot of classes that I taught when I was a teacher, like economics and the such, and just even that, I feel like there are a lot of stats and charts are really, really important in general to almost every subject in history, like demographics and the such. Geography, obviously, arts and stuff are very important there. Anyways, tangent. Basically, TLDR is that TCM has been losing players, just specifically if you're looking at the Steam charts, and it's been on a downward decline since its release. Yeah, it hasn't had a positive. It's not having positives, which is very, very, you know, disheartening. And these are very, very massive drops. They're not just like tiny drops. They are consistently dropping, and they are dropping a lot. So things are not looking good for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and we get into a multitude of reasons why that is, but like I said, that's in another video. But we had a conversation on stream that I found particularly interesting because there is a diehard fan that I have in my Twitch chat that, you know, is ride or die for Texas Chainsaw Massacre and was absolutely convinced, absolutely not even just huffing copium, but like on the copium truck, driving the semi truck, transporting all the copium. They were the copium salesman. I don't know. Whatever analogy you come with. They were huffing copium that Texas Chainsaw Massacre for sure would bounce back. And I'm going to tell you why TCM will not bounce back, because their main way that they said TCM is going to bounce back is like, well, Dead by Daylight has had bad stints before. That is a thing that has happened, and DBD has always bounced back. However, usually when DBD has bounced back, it's been usually with a very, very compelling and interesting and very, very hype drop of a brand new IP. So that being a Resident Evil drop, a Silent Hill drop, an Alien drop, which is, you know, what got me absolutely loving this game again as the number 4 geomorph in the world in terms of total tail tax on PC. And I'm very, very passionate about the game again, loving the game again, etc. Basically, these very, really big IPs bring a lot of new players, and also bring a lot of players that are otherwise disenfranchised or not having a good time back into the game, because it's almost like the Smash Brother reveal cycle, where people kind of like get in a lull, kind of like get sick of the meta, get sick of, you know, or just get bored because it's like, well, I've already done everything there is to do with a new character, and suddenly it's like, wow, Steve from Minecraft's in this game, you know, like, wow, that's so crazy, wow, Sephiroth is stabbing Mario, you know, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But like people eat that up. People eat that up. It's like, wow. why is this character crossed over into this game? Why is he literally stabbing Mario in his trailer? Like, this is totally not the same, but it's like, it's so wild that I can't believe it's happening. It's like a car crash. I can't look away. But that, regardless, brings people into the game, because Smash Brothers is Nintendo's little baby. But Smash Brothers is a place where they can just bring in all their IPs that are in-house, but they can also choose to travel outside and get IPs from other places, like namely Metal Gear Solid. They got Sonic. Like they got a lot going on there. A lot going on in there, which makes Smash Brothers always incredibly exciting. Even if you're in a lull, even if you're not particularly interested in Smash Brothers at the time, you're always on the lookout to see what they drop next, because it's really, really exciting to see what new characters going to come in. There's plenty of new characters, or plenty of historic characters that are really, really cool in the horror genre that have not come to Dead by Daylight, like Jason, Friday the 13th, Jason, Friday the 13th, big one. Candyman from the Candyman series, very, very cool. Obviously, Five Nights at Freddy's is probably the biggest request, Springtrap usually being the character they recommended with that. Pennywise from It, obviously that's another Really, really big one I've seen. There's also been a lot of other indie requests like Slenderman and stuff like that, although I don't think that's nearly as popular. But essentially, there's a lot left in the tank when it comes to Dead by Daylight. There's a lot of really, really exciting releases that they could potentially bring into the game that I think would bring a lot of players into the game and bring old players back. And that's kind of like the trick up their sleeve, right? How many people did you see flock back to Dead by Daylight, not even for a new chapter, but just because Stranger Things came back to the game? Not a new chapter, but just an old chapter that they lost the rights to, coming back into the game. There are still more Steves and Nancy's demos that I have seen in like the last year of playing this game. Like it is a flood. There are so many of them now. So IPs are a huge force in what brings up that bounce back factor with Dead by Daylight, and why it's able to bounce back even if it's having a horrible meta or a horrible like health patch where it's like everything's broken and nothing's going well. Like, they're able to bounce back from that because the IPs are so strong. I mean, let's take a perfect example. Let's look at the Resident Evil chapter, the very first one with Nemesis, Leon, Jill. That patch like didn't work on consoles. Like it console players were like basically unable to play the game. And that patch was in such poor shape on console that it was literally driving people away from the game in droves. But still that was their peak player count. Even with that horrendous, awful health of that patch, it was still the peak player count for Dead by Daylight. Still, in spite of that. That is the power of Pansol, baby. That is the power of IPs and how strong they are, and why DBD is always seemingly able to bounce back. No matter what the controversy is, no matter what is going on, they're always able to bounce back. I don't know if you know this, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre only has the rights to the first film. They're not able to go in and get like Chop Top. Not even that I feel like that would even matter too much. No offense. Texas Chainsaw 2 is a nice movie. But there's really no other iconic characters or really anything to pull from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre universe, even if they did have access to those other films, that would really bring in something with a lot of pizzazz, that would put some new eyes on the game, like somebody who just like kind of casually likes Resident Evil and hears, hey, I can play Leon in this game too, or I can play as Nemesis. I love Nemesis. There's nothing like that. Like I said, Chop Top, funny character, pretty cool. But like, there's nothing, even if they got the rights to the other movies in those franchises, or in that franchise, that don't even remotely stir up the same hullabaloo, the same social media like hype that like a DBD chapter does. And that's a huge part of why they bounce back. So basically, all Texas Chainsaw is doing is relying on original content. And the problem with that is that original content lives or dies based on how it is received. Let's take, Blight and Oni, who are very, very excellent original chapters, minus Blight's add-ons, versus, say, Skull Merchant's chapter. Obviously, these are like night and day. Two of these chapters are really fantastic. The other one, complete bomb, complete failure, because the original content that came with it was absolutely god-awful and terrible. It wasn't like, oh, hey, well, Skull Merchant's kind of bad, but at least she's Predator. No, she's not Predator. She's just manga angry lady. That's it. That's all. So there's nothing to cushion the blow if it's like a bad health patch, if the character didn't end up being cool, or the perks ended up being bad. It's like there's no cool factor, there's no hype, because there's no IP behind it. Which is why DBD on their cycle, when they're doing their roadmaps, they have guaranteed IPs along the way. That is not something they always did, but now that's why they're always hunting down IPs and scheduling them and letting us know even ahead of time, this one's gonna be licensed, this one's gonna be licensed, that one's not gonna be licensed, because they want you to get excited way ahead of time. They want you to get invested way ahead of time, way before this thing even comes out, that hey, this is gonna be an IP. I wonder who's gonna be in. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre will literally never have that. If they say, hey, we're getting a character from another movie, nobody's gonna care. Nobody's gonna care at all. Hey, we're getting another character from the Texas Chainsaw remake, and it's like, that's more like a skin than anything. Okay, cool, I guess. Hey, we're getting the army guy from Texas Chainsaw 3. Okay, I guess. Hey, we're getting a Matthew McConaughey from the really, really weird one where he jumps off the roof and he goes, that one? Nobody's gonna care. Nobody's going to be excited for those characters. Nobody is going to return to Texas Chainsaw. Nobody's going to buy Texas Chainsaw on that basis. Nobody's going to do that. So no, Texas Chainsaw cannot bounce back the same way Dead by Daylight is. And that comes down mostly to the fact that they have no IPs really to invite to the game. And if they did, it'd be kind of weird. And at that point, it would kind of stop becoming Texas Chainsaw. And I'm pretty sure the rights holders would kind of have issue with them just like inviting other random IPs into their game. You know, not impossible, I guess, but from a legal standpoint, very, very messy. That's something that's been always really good about Dead by Daylight. Is it is a original game with original characters first, and the IPs, you know, really make it what it is. So it's not like it's Halloween the game, so it's going to be weird if like Jason just shows up for some reason, you know. Like it is a original universe where these characters exist. They are invited to it, whereas like in the Texas Chainsaw continuity, like why would Jason Voorhees be there? Doesn't really make any sense. But yeah, that is why I believe that Texas Chainsaw won't bounce back, because it really doesn't have the trick up their sleeve, the big IP thing that Dead by Daylight can do that always helps them bounce back. So they really have to come up with something wild that is borderline a miracle to try and just to randomly bring in that big of an influx of players back into the game. But what do you guys think? Do you think TCM actually has something else, another trick up their sleeve they could use? Or do you agree with me that TCM can't really bounce back the same way DBD can? Let me know down in the comments below. Well, that's going to be it for today's video, friends. Thank you so much for watching. But I do upload daily, so I will see you tomorrow. But if I do not, well, you know, the thing I say, I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.